Welcome to the Jamodi Podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it. How does culture drive performance?
That's when I was looking through, that's the first one that caught my mind or caught my eyes. I think your culture, what you start from day one, whether it be team, continuity, toughness, whatever you're trying to preach from day one, that will carry over into everything you do. And so what I try to do is what I learned from my college coach is we're up 4 days a week, 6 a.m. We're preaching to them how hard it is, how tough it is, all those things. We're having them do tough things to breed toughness. And, growing up the way I was as a player, I was not overly talented. The one way to be successful was to be tough, smart and tough. And so we try to get that toughness. I think I said that when we were, kind of exchanging texts.
That's right.
I want to talk about toughness because that, to me, that epitomizes everything. But what is tough? Well, everything's tough. And so we try to do that from the jump. First thing I write on the board in our first team meeting is accountability, right? If you're accountable to yourself, your teammates, all that, you're doing tough things. And because it's not always easy, especially for 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, to go up to a teammate and say, hey, we don't do that, or hey, pick it up. And so we try to preach that from day one. And when I saw the questions, like, how does that breed into your playing and confidence and your accountability and all that stuff, is the whole mindset for the whole year is toughness for me. And culture that we try to create translates. And, I tell them from day one, we want to be the toughest team on the court, in the classroom, and we want to have the best continuity as a group. Less talent, a group that meshes and cares about each other 100 out of 100 times. I don't care how athletic, how well you shoot it, well, maybe if you're a great shooter. But I want guys that are just out for the guy next to them. And I think one big thing for me, and I don't know if you felt this way as a player and as a coach, is the worst feeling in the world is to look at your teammates or your team and say, I let you down. And that to me, and I said, I always tell them, like, don't be the guy that you have to look at your teammates and feel that way. And then I also counter that with, you can look at your teammates and know you did it. You probably shouldn't be here, right? You should probably be doing something else. And so we try to start from day one with that, like just right off the bat, to know what my standards are and what we're trying to try. We've had good success with it thus far. And I've learned different things about that from the coaches that I've worked for and played for. But I think that to me is what I think translates into it.
I think toughness is like, okay, culture's a buzzword. Like it's, like a lot of people use it, and when you see it and you feel it, but like sometimes it's hard to obtain. And toughness is another one of those. Like, yeah, I want my guys to be tough, but I'll just full transparency. I think I've struggled. Like over the years here at Faith, I felt like our team hasn't been as tough, either physically or with our decision making, or when we get down and when those moments where I don't know if it's possible to climb out of this hole, but man, we're going to be tough. We're going to fight through it. I just haven't always seen that in teams. And so I guess the question is to dive deeper into that. What are some things that you do? I love the accountability piece and things, but what do you do to build that in your program?
I think the biggest thing or the best thing that we do, and I'm going to watch us practice and be like, yeah, I don't agree with that. But I think I try to make practice the hardest thing we do. I try to tell my guys, if you enjoy practice, we're not doing it right. We have to make practice hard, because then the games become easy. And that's what toughness is. And when they start getting that first, they say, hey, we're tougher than this. They don't, like you said, when they get down, we'll quit. The prime example, the team last year on a COVID year, crazy year. We won We only played 19 games. We went 15-4. We went 13-2 in league, and we won a lot of games in the last 2 minutes. And it was pure toughness. I had a really, really good point guard, and I had a really good guard that could shoot it. It came up big. I mean, we won one game, we're down 6 with a minute 7 left, and win by 5. And they just never quit. And we try to put those game situations in practice. We reward the tough, the dive on the floor, the charge. And, I don't drill it. I don't ever go out there and do the old, IBA drill where you take a charge, you go dive on the floor. Like, I don't do that.
Yeah.
But we reward it. If somebody in my practice takes a charge, everybody, offense, defense on the side, better be acting like they won the lottery. We are celebrating the tough things. And then it becomes, all right, yeah, that's good. And then he's doing it and he's doing it. And we do, as most coaches do, we're doing time and situation. And if you can get them to believe they're tough, it will translate into the game. And like I said, and it's all about, and if it happens once, you get it, they're going to feel more confident in it. And again, when I say toughness, it's a relative term. It's very broad, and it could be a rebound late. It could be.
Yeah, it does show up in different ways. Yeah. I love what you said there, though. You just, in a kind of a light bulb moment, you got to make them believe that they're tough. Like, I think we do a decent job here of making everybody believe they're a good shooter. Like, they can all, my guys, like, yeah, I can knock it down if I'm open. Well, that's because I'm standing there, Ted Lassoing them, into getting them into believing in that mindset. But I have to do that with toughness. I think sometimes I make comments like, I think I just said it today, like, guys, you know what? Like, we just don't look very tough right now. And not that that's not true, but in those moments of honesty, accountability, do you want truth, guys, or do you want harmony? Well, we always want truth, like, those are important. But then how many times am I speaking into them? You know what? Hey, that's tough. You look tough. Guys, fellas, we're tough. Like, I think I don't do that enough. And you get what you emphasize, right?
I truly believe that. And, it's weird when you coach junior college, and I've coached Division I, Division II, and JUCO. And to me, it's the message you portray day in and day out. And almost all coaches almost have a psychology degree because every team is different, and how you reach them and get them to believe in it is always different. Every team is going to have a different thing that they buy into. And figuring that out is the hardest thing. Just in practice yesterday, I kind of go off on something. I think a kid turned it over against hard pressure and just threw it out of, might as well just punted it 50 yards down the field. But I said, I felt bad after, but I was like, hey, that's soft. You be able to square up and handle pressure and make sure you make the right pass. That's on your fault. That's not his fault. And the next guy, 2 plays later, takes a charge, and we're celebrating. I'm like, you'll play if you do that. I can win with guys like you. So you hope that translates and moves over. And like I said, I may have gone too hard on the kid and telling him that was soft play or whatever. But then at the same time, they see the celebration for doing something that isn't celebrated, doesn't necessarily show up in the stat book. And getting them to buy into that is the hardest thing to do. But you'll win games with it.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi Podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.